Hello, FLOSSTUBE. Welcome to my channel. This is Acts of Stitching. My name is Edie, and this is FLOSSTUBE number 3. Today is Wednesday, April 29th, 2026. Welcome back if you are joining me for my third video, and welcome if you're new here. It has been a little bit longer since I have filmed. I intended to film last week when I got back from Stitch West, but unfortunately I came back with a terrible cold and it's taken me a little while to recover from that. I don't think I'm 100%, but I don't think I'll be coughing, but I'll try to keep that to a minimum. Anyway, I wanted to start, as always, by saying thank you to those of you who have given my videos a like and subscribed and left a comment or asked a question or given some advice in the comments. I absolutely love reading through those comments. Makes it all worthwhile. I tried to answer any questions that came up, and I tried to give everybody at least a little heart acknowledgement, but I do really, really love those comments, so keep them coming. I do try to address any questions that come up repeatedly. One thing that has come up a couple of times is I mentioned that in my book of days, I do take little photographs of all my fully finished projects, and I stick a little photo in the back of the book to keep track of what I've done throughout the year. And a couple of people asked how I do that. I use this little printer, little mini printer, and it connects to my phone through Bluetooth, and it has a little cartridge in it that I think has either 10 or 12, you can make 10 or 12 photos from each cartridge, and I just print them out and crop them and then glue them in the back of my book. Very simple. There are newer versions of this, and the newer versions will print on sticker paper. So I am definitely looking to upgrade mine to some sticker paper at some point. But anyway, that's what I use. Very easy. So I have a lot to show and share and talk about today. You might want to get a snack and a drink. I don't want anybody to pass out. It's not going to be that long, but there is a lot. There's a lot on this table. I do want to start by taking a couple of minutes to talk about Stitch West, which I did attend the weekend before last, April 17th through the 19th in Ogden, Utah. I mentioned in my previous video that this was going to be my first ever cross-stitch retreat, and I was a little nervous because I was going by myself, didn't know quite what to expect. And of course, because the cross-stitch community is so lovely, people reached out right away on YouTube or on my Instagram page and said, "Oh, I'm going, come sit with us." The very first person to do that was a lovely lady named Linda from Indiana. Said, "Come sit at our table," and so I did. It was wonderful to have a place to land when I got there, and I ended up sitting at Linda's table with her friends, Kathy from Minnesota, Stacy from California, Jane from Texas, and Megan from Virginia. And they could not have been nicer or more welcoming or more helpful. So that was really wonderful. So thank you, ladies, for letting me sit in with your group this past weekend. Interestingly, because they are from all over, I wondered what their connection was, and it turns out they all met at a stitching retreat, I think just last year. And they've since gone to other ones, and I think 2 of them were going to another stitching retreat actually the following weekend, I think at Hobby House in New York. And then in various combinations, they're going to some other retreats this year. And so they really helped me to find out more about retreats and, follow various stores and various designers to find out about them. Also, a fun thing, Megan from Virginia is the owner and designer of Lap and Loops Linen Company. So it was fun to get to talk to her about that business. And she was one of the vendors, and to see all of her wonderful fabric. If you haven't checked out Lap and Loops Linen yet, you are missing out. Lots of beautiful color combinations. So so we stitched and we talked, and I would say there were probably about 180 people there. And I loved walking around the room and seeing the incredible variety of projects that people were working on. There was a lot of patriotic stitching, but there was everything else you could possibly imagine. Loved seeing all the different projects. Loved seeing all the different gadgets, the various, things that clipped onto the table, magnifiers with lights on them, and things to hold your stitching, and lots of wonderful gadgets, lots of little gadgets, fun needle minders, you name it. Everybody, people have it. They're covered. Um, they had wonderful vendors. I'd say there were about 17 or 18 vendors. I was very good. If you've been watching me, you know that I am being very strict about purchases this year. I am very much trying to use what I have, particularly my patterns, because I have quite the stash of patterns. So I am working on whittling down my supply of patterns, but I did enjoy looking at all the vendors at least, and I did buy a few things, and I'll show you that in my haul later. Beth Seal, who is the designer for Summer House Stitchworks, was the featured speaker, and she spoke on Saturday night. Very interesting to hear her talk about her evolution into a cross-stitch designer. She was primarily a graphic designer, did quite a good business in designing very high-end wedding invitations for a lot of famous people, and then became a cross-stitch designer. And she did have a lovely exclusive pattern for the retreat that I will show you later. She also sang, which was it was a big surprise. She has a lovely soprano, and apparently there were enough people there that know that she is a singer, so they asked her to sing, which was lovely. One thing that came out during her talk, which was a pleasant surprise for me, is that Kim Deal was there just as a participant at the retreat. So many of you know Kim Deal, who is a cross-stitch designer, is also a quilt designer. And I had watched a number of floss tubes before I went of people who have gone to retreats, and they had talked about making a stitching mat to go on the table. Sometimes the table is not in great condition, or it's just a great way to keep track of your scissors and your needles and things. I didn't have time to make a stitchy mat, but my quilting guild, we make placemats and give them to Meals on Wheels, because Meals on Wheels gives all of their clients a handmade placemat on their birthday that they get to keep. And we've probably donated thousands of them at this point. So I had made a placemat that I'm going to turn in at our meeting next week. And I made it from some leftover fabrics from a Kim Deal quilt that I made. So here's my placemat that I made. This is her spangled line, and I had made her spangled quilt. So on Sunday morning, I did go over and show this to her, and said I made your spangled quilt, loved making it. She was lovely, and I told her that at my Guild's annual retreat 2 years ago, I cut out all the pieces for the spangled quilt. It was 1,300 plus pieces, and my friends kept coming by the table and saying, okay, how many pieces are you on now? And so she was showing me a couple of the patterns that she has coming out, I think later this year. Beautiful. And one of them has over 2,000 pieces. So I don't know whether I'll be going down that road or not, but it was fun to see that, and she was lovely. So it was fun to get to meet her. Of course, since we were in Ogden, oh, you know what? I was going to insert a picture of my spangled quilt here real quick so you can get to see that. It is hanging in Colorado, or I would show you the live one. But anyway, that was a lot of fun to make. So, of course, because we were in Ogden, Utah, we had to go to Shepherd's Bush Needle Workshop. It was right across the street from the hotel. What a store. It is so charming and so lovely, and the ladies who run it are just lovely and very helpful. I will say that their organizational method is maybe a little eclectic, little idiosyncratic. And if I'd been in there with just a few other people, and I'd had a couple of hours to be in there, I'm sure I could have found anything and everything I had ever wanted. But I was not in there by myself, as you can imagine. It was very, very crowded. So I just said, take a breath. You're at Shepherd's Bush. Let's just look at Shepherd's Bush patterns, because they have wonderful little kits where they've put everything together that you need for finishing a little project. So that was so much fun. I could have gone insane, but I did not. I was very good. So I'll show you those when I get to haul. Linda from my table, she was really great about, she knew that she should call beforehand. So she had them kit up a couple of things for her before she got there, which was really smart. But again, retreat rookie, I didn't know. So next time I will know better if there's a well-known needle workshop where I go to a future retreat, that you should probably call ahead and have some things made up. We also had a couple of wonderful meals out, including at a terrific restaurant called the Prairie Schooner, a steakhouse restaurant there. All the pictures in the beginning of the video were from from the retreat. And the prairie schooner, you go and you eat in a prairie schooner, in a covered wagon, full-size covered wagon. And it's, the rest of the restaurant, it's very dark, as if you were out on the prairie at night, and they have all these taxidermied full-size animals, as if you're dining among the animals. So it was really fun. So I am very glad I went. And again, thank you to Linda and her friends for letting me join them. Now I know what it's all about. I don't have any other plans to go to a retreat yet, but there are many coming up. I know that now that you have to keep your eye on them because they fill up very, very quickly. But if you've never been to one and you've been thinking, should I go? The answer is an enthusiastic yes, do go. And everybody will be lovely, and you will find your people, and you'll have a great time. So that was Stitch West. So my plans for the rest of the video today, I'm going to start with quite a lot of fully finished objects. I'm very proud of myself. If you've been watching me for a while, you know that one of my missions this year is to fully finish fully stitched items. I have a very large pile in the corner of my room that I've been sort of ignoring for several years. So I have been having fully finishing Fridays. I don't let myself do any stitching or any quilting on Fridays. I can only fully finish things during the day. I always stitch in the evening. But I've been making a pretty good dent on that. So I have some things to show you. Then I'm going to move on to my whips. Now, I am sorry. I know my last video, I thoroughly confused everybody because I kept referring to my whips as UFOs. In my defense, my quilt friends and I tend to refer to all of our ongoing projects as UFOs, whether you worked on them last 2 years ago or this afternoon. I'm not saying that's universal to quilters. I'm just saying that's what, my group does. So having whips be two different things and having two distinct meanings is new to me. I've got it down now. I don't currently have any true UFOs for cross stitch, although I got very close to having one this month. We will discuss that later, but they are whips. So I will go on, I will show you all my whips, the ones left over from my first quarter stitching. Now, again, if you're just joining me, or a little recap for those of you who watch my other videos, I broke all my stitching down this year into 4 quarters of the year, January to March, April to June, and so on. And I am concentrating primarily on smalls and seasonal items so that I can pare down that stash of patterns that I have. And I went through all my patterns at the beginning of the year, and I pulled everything that I might work on in each quarter. So I just finished the first quarter, and I will show you the whips that I had left over from that, and then we'll move on to the second quarter. So anyway, I'm doing those whips. Then I will show you a finish that I had that was also a new start. Then I'll show you all my other new starts from my second quarter stitching. Then I will show you the remaining possible projects for the remainder of the second quarter, the rest of the patterns that I have pulled. Then in addition to that, I am also using a decision wheel on my phone. I'm using the Tiny Decisions app, just the free version. And on the first of every month, I spin that, and then I work on whatever project comes up. On the wheel, those are primarily bigger projects. They're not all big projects, but they're just other things that didn't fall neatly into the seasonal small category, and just some things that I'd like to start. They're mostly new starts, some things that I wanted to touch this year. So that's how I determined what was on the wheel. So I'll show you what showed up for April on that. I'll show you the items from the dough bowl for April. Then of course I do have some haul, and then I have a couple of quilt things to show you, and then I'll talk about my plans. So let's jump right in. I'm going to start, as I always do, with my book of days. I'm using the book of days that a lot of us use from Needlework Press. Really have been enjoying using this year. I've been very good about keeping up with it. Here is April. I do use the little column over here to keep track of all my new starts. And it's a good place for me to write down the linen I'm using, because I'm really bad about keeping track of that. So as soon as I started, I write it down, and I write down the linen. And then further back in my book, here is the page. This is all my quarterly stitching that I determined at the beginning of the year. It's all the potential projects I might start. Oops, I got stuff falling out here before I lose that. Then the next page is starts, finishes, and fully finished objects. As you can see, the start list is getting quite long. I had to actually go on to the next page. I have never been somebody who liked having a lot of whips at the end of the year, so this is quite a new experience for me. So we'll see how that goes and how I feel about that at the end of the year. It's a work in progress. Here's my little photos, and part of the reason why I would like to upgrade to a printer that has sticker paper is that the glue isn't perfect and one of the pictures just fell out, but I have moved on to the second page here, and that's really fun. It's fun to keep track of that. So that's my book of days. So I'm going to go on from that to my fully finished objects. Very exciting. The first one, this is an old one. This is a ship's manor pattern. This is called the egg house. I think the glare is okay on that. This is a very old finish. I probably wouldn't stitch this now, but I really was taken with the shape of the house and the fun spring colors. And they did a really cute job on the framing of this. So I bring it out every Easter and have it out. So that's my first one. The next two are a couple that I am keeping in this little tiered tray. I think I got this at Home Goods a few years ago. This is the first time I've used it, but it was perfect for these little projects. The first one is Tulip Festival from Brenda Gervais, which for some reason I have in a giant bag. I don't know why. But here is my little finish on that. So sweet. I love these colors. I love the little 3D bow around her neck, and I just finished it as a pillow. I used fiberfill on this one because it's a pretty big pillow. I thought it would take up a lot of walnut shells. Just a little bit of pom-pom trim from Lady Dot Creates, and I was really pleased with this fabric that I found in my stash because it works so well with the color of the tulips. So there's that one. I'm not really talking about what I sewed these, or what I stitched these on, because again, these are things I finished a while ago, and I was really bad about keeping track of what linen I used. I know that this one and the next one are both on 36 count, but beyond that, I really don't know. So the next one is Plum Street's Spring Beginnings. Such a sweet little pattern. And here that is, my little finish. I'm really pleased with this. I did use a little bit of the gingham ribbon that I got from Stitch Kits Crafts that I talked about in my last video, and a little pink fabric from my stash. And then I had a little set of spring buttons from Just Another Button Company. And then I used the same fabric on the back. So I'm really enjoying seeing these in my little tiered tray. Lots of fun. I was going to point out, she has such a lovely little feature on the stag's neck, this wreath of roses that she has you go back, and she just straight stitch around each little rose to give them a little bit of a 3D effect. I love those little details in Plum Street. So sweet. My next fully finished was Coffee Bird from Heart and Hand. I love these little birds. So I did, whoops, where'd I put it? Here it is. I just framed this myself. I just picked up a little frame at Michael's and framed it myself. I have a little coffee nook in my kitchen, and I've been wanting to put something in there, so I was really glad to get this one finished. Isn't it fun? And then my last fully finished object this time around, I did get some things back from the framer. I tried a new framer this time locally. They did a good job. It was a tough thing to frame. So expensive. I just cannot get over how expensive it is. And I would say that my quest for finding a framer I'm truly happy with continues, but they did a nice job on this. This is a Satsuma Street Sew Along, Alice in Wonderland, obviously, from 2020, I think. And I did keep up with this pretty well. I got a little bit behind, but I did finish it, obviously. And I have it hung up here in my sewing room. It's really fun. I love the red frame. And I'm sure it wasn't easy to finish with this in this shape. That's why I didn't even attempt to do it myself, because I did want to have it framed in the diamond like this. It's a little wonky around the edges, but you know, they did a pretty good job. And I'm glad to have it done. I'm glad to have it hanging on my wall and out of the pile of you know, the black hole of fully finished object or fully stitched objects that I have. So those are all my fully finished objects. I don't know how much fully finishing I'm going to do. We're going to be heading out to Colorado pretty soon. We spend the summers in Colorado and then we're in Florida for the rest of the year. And excuse me. I don't have, right now I'm in my sewing / craft / office room here. And I do have, I'm lucky enough to have this whole room here. It's actually a converted one-car garage space that has worked out wonderfully well for me as a sewing room. In Colorado, I don't have a room. I have a sewing space. I don't have a stash out there. I don't want to have a stash out there. I am trying to keep, things to a minimum out there, just what I need. So I don't know how much fully finishing I'm going to do out there because I don't have a stash to pull from, but we'll see. I don't want to let things build up too much, but I'll kind of figure it out. I could do some little framing out there, I think, even if I don't have a stash for making pillows. So I'm going to move on to my works in progress, to my WIPs. These are all the projects I had that were left at the end of the first quarter. These were all my first quarter stitching. I have retired them now that the first quarter is over with one exception, which I will get to. The first one is probably the least interesting one from a show and tell standpoint, just because of how much I've done on it, but it's a wonderful project. This is the winter sampler from Crochet A Go-Go. Beautiful, beautiful sampler. I wish I'd gotten more of this done, but I don't think I actually started this until the 1st of March. I didn't work on it for the full quarter. I just decided I wanted to do something. So I definitely was eating my vegetables on this one, and I just made myself work on the border. So it's not super interesting to look at. This is how much I've done. And I'm really glad I made myself stick to it because I did make a mistake in the border over here, but I was able to catch it and fix it, before I went completely around and then started filling in with motifs and found out it was all wrong. So I will really be happy to get back to that one. It's such a beautiful sampler. I have a couple of the other seasonal samplers from them as well, and I want to make them. That is being done on 40 count Dust Bunny from Fox and Rabbit. My next one is one near and dear to many of your hearts, and this is Winter Rose Manor by Brenda Gervais. Such a beautiful stitch. I am doing this on 36 count raw natural linen. So I should have said that the last time I filmed, there were 12 days left in March. So all of these projects I gave 2 days to. I had 6 projects left. Everything got 2 days. Does not mean I stitched on them all day. It just meant that there were 2 days when I touched them. Unfortunately, I didn't get a whole lot done on Winter Rose Manor. I think one of the days that I had this written down for, I only sewed for about 45 minutes. So I didn't get a whole lot done, but it's so beautiful. I love, love, love this one. I did finish I think I had the basket done last time, but I had not finished all the flowers. So I got all the flowers done. I filled in all these little, snowflake motifs all over at the top here. And then I got the border, extended over to the corner and went on down with that. Just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I will be very excited to get back to this. Whenever I get back to it. I'm, again, not quite sure when I am coming back to all these things since I have moved on into another quarter of stitching, but whenever I get back to it, I'll be thrilled. The next one is the Winter Woods Biscornu by the Blue Flower. Gorgeous pattern, gorgeous, gorgeous pattern. Started this at the Jingle Ball and have loved every stitch I have put into this. This is on a piece of 32 count pistachio from Fiber on a Whim. And here is where I am on this. I did finish, since the last time, I finished the whole first page. I finished the weasel. I got all the way over into the corner. So this will be the edge of this upper square. There's a whole lynx cat that has to go in here, and then there's the bottom part that is, the bottom part and the sides of the biscornu. But what a beautiful, beautiful stitch. I love the blue flower patterns. And I'm sorry about the loose thread here. I take all my needle minders off my projects because if I leave them on when I'm trying to show them, then all the projects, all the magnets grip together and it makes it really hard to show them. So I do have some loose threads on some of these. The next whip left over from the first quarter is a seasonal series that I'm doing. There's a one of these for each quarter of the year. I do love a good seasonal series. And this is the Every Season series from Teresa Kogut. So the winter one is A Time to Rest. And I'm doing this on the called for linen, which is 40 count Sleeping Bear from Needle and Flax. And here is how much I have done. I have it on an absolutely enormous piece of linen because I'm always afraid to cut my linen until I have things pretty much done, so I make sure I have good margins. So last time I had finished the Dancing Gentleman. So since then I added in all the snowflakes, I did the little cat underneath, and I got this much of the snowman done. There's a lot of stitching in these, but they're just so fun and lively and fun. And I got the board, the mounted board. Let's see, I think it's on here. Yeah, from Chantel 141, so I can change them out in each season. So I'm really looking forward to having these done. That's going to be a while because there is a lot of stitching in these, but I'm really enjoying working on this project. And then the last whip I had from my first quarter stitching was Hello Winter from Plum Street. So beautiful. And I am doing this on 36 count flax. And because I haven't done this before, I haven't broken my stitching down in this way. As I was coming to the end of March, I was kind of like, oh gosh, I hate to put these projects away, and how can I just, not work on these anymore? So I did decide to keep this one out and keep it going. I have enjoyed working on it so much, and here's my progress. As you can see, I've done quite a lot because last time I was about halfway across the sheep. I'd done all of this over here and I was halfway across the sheep. I hadn't done any of this. Now, I said in my last video, oh, I did iron this, but not very well. Apologies. I said in my last video, oh, when I get the sheep done, there really isn't much more to be done. Really? It's Plum Street. There's always more to be done, including this ginormous flower that's over here. But as you can see, I did get a lot done and I am getting close. And so I am going to keep this out as part of my second quarter stitching, even though it's not spring, it's not seasonal, and finish it. It's so fun to work on. And I do think that there are other ones of this. There's Hello Spring, and I think there's Hello Summer. And maybe either Hello Spring or Hello Summer may have been a release for market this year. I could be totally wrong about that. But anyway, I love a good series. So maybe once I get this done, I'll look into the other ones. So the last whip I have is the thing that showed up on the wheel on March 1st. This was my March project, and I spoke at length in my last video about how much I love, love, love this project. This is the Fragments in Time series 2023 from Summer House Stitchworks. And I am doing, there's 8 little vignettes. I'm not going to show all of them to you today. If you want to see them all, you can watch video number 2. And I'm doing them all on one piece. And then they do have a free border on the Summer House Stitchworks website that you can go on and download to put around them. So this is my progress so far. The borders are just beautiful. They're all different. And so what I did, last time I had done these borders and a little bit of this border. This blue and green border will go all the way down the middle. There'll be, as I said, there's 8 vignettes. So there'll be 4 on the top and 4 on the bottom. And then these borders run around the outside, and this lovely little delicate flower border runs in between each vignette. And I had just made a little tiny start on this one. I mean, this is this one with this lovely little cottage. And so that's as far as I got. So I mentioned the free borders on the Summer House Stitchworks site. I think there's several series of, oh, sorry for the noise, several series of Fragments in Time, and I think they're all the same size. So I think the borders are all interchangeable. You'd have to change the colors, obviously, because they take the border colors from the colors that are in the little vignettes. But if you didn't like this border for whatever reason, you could switch it out for one of the other ones. It's a really great system. I absolutely loved working on that. It was very hard to put that away, but again, happy to get back to it. So I was kind of pleasantly surprised because I thought, oh, you know, I don't want to leave these projects behind. But then when April 1st rolled around and I got out my folder of all the things that I had pulled as potential starts for the second quarter, I was really excited. It was fun to look at all of those. So I think this is going to work okay. I might carry, as I said, one or two over into the next quarters, but I'm okay with starting new things. So having said that, let me show you my first new start for the second quarter stitching that is also a finish. And that is Rascals from Pedal Pushers. Such a fun little pattern. And here is my start and my finish. Isn't this cute? I love this. I love how all the carrots are exactly the same, not in color, but you know, they're very uniform until they get anywhere near one of the wascally wabbits, and then they there's dirt everywhere, there's little chunks of carrot everywhere, it's just chaos. But it was really fun to do. I love the kind of unusual colors that they've used in here, and it was a very quick little stitch. So I am going to frame it on a mat board. I got some rickrack that was about this same color that I'll put around it. I might put it on another piece of mat board in a contrasting fabric. And then I'm going to put it on this little wooden piece that I got at Target in whatever they're calling that area that's always in the front of Target now. I think they used to call it the 1 spot, but I don't think anything in there is $1 anymore. I think it's the 5 spot now, something. Anyway, I'm going to put a little magnet on here and put a magnet on the back of that so I can kind of change this out with different things, but I thought this would be fun. I like a fairly simple finish. I'm not ever going to be somebody that puts like picks and flowers and bows and things on, but I just love the shape of this, and I like it in the natural finish too. So I thought that would be fun. Stay. Okay, so here are the rest of my new starts. And as I said, these are all my new starts from my second quarter stitching. So the first one is Spring Fling. Whoops, is that upside down? Yes. Spring Fling from Brenda Gervais. I'm doing this on a lovely piece of 32 count Charlotte's Pink from Weeks Dye Works. And here's my progress. Again, sorry for that. I did have these ironed, but wow, did they get wrinkled just sitting on the table. Sorry, but here's my progress. Love these pinks. Really fun. I did notice when I went to move the hoop, or my Nurge hoop, that I haven't left myself a whole lot of room over here. I measured. It's still going to fit. And of course I measured before I started, but I think I should have started this a little farther over here. So I thought I might have this framed. I think I'm going to have to make it into a pillow because I don't think I left myself enough room to frame it. Oh well. Here are the lovely threads. Look at these pinks. Aren't they pretty? Love this. So I have a combination of things here. I put my DMC on bobbins, and then everything else I just put on the thread drops. I just started out doing that when I started cross stitching, and I do have a few things of other, like these are Weeks Dye Works that are on bobbins because I used to put everything on bobbins, and then I stopped doing it with the things that come on floss cards. And as I use up the little bobbins, then I just get rid of them. But that's the system that I use. But that's been really fun. I can't wait to get onto that big rabbit face that's on there. The next one, I actually started at Stitch West, and this is the Springtime Snippets from Little Robin Designs. Sorry, had a senior moment there. I am doing this on 40 count Cream and Sugar by Fiber on a Whim, and I started with the Bloom one. So these are just 2 colors. The blue is Glacial Melt from Weeks Dye Works, and the green is Scuppernong. And so I started with the 2 color one. Whoops, forgot this was kind of a big piece of fabric. And there is my progress so far on Bloom. really, it's nice on this fabric. The colors are showing up really well. I did make a mistake. I started with the border. I don't know why, and I especially don't know why I would start with a border in the middle of a retreat where you're chatting and you're looking around and you're distracted, so I did make a mistake. There's an extra stitch in the border. I should have just started with these with the correct spacing and then put the border around it. Anyway, it's a little off on this end. No one will know. Well, now you'll know because I felt the need to point that out to you. I don't know why. Anyway, it's not that big a deal. And I'd done enough. It wasn't worth it to me to pick it out and start it over again. We have a rule at my quilt guild for show and tell that you are not allowed to get up there and say, the first thing you say is, oh, here's my quilt and look at all the things I did wrong. You are not allowed to do that. So I really should enforce that rule in these videos too. My next new start is a really fun one. This has been really fun. It's a great concept. This is Spring House by Hello from Liz Matthews. And as you can see, it's done on 2 different fabrics, which is really fun. So I'm using one called for fabric and one not. I am using 36 count dusk for the upper part. I think the called for one is night sky. And then I am using the called for 36 count cypress. These are both by Fiber on a Whim on the bottom. Now you can see in the photo that this is obviously dark blue and this looks like it's light blue. So the cypress I have is not light blue. It is definitely green. A greeny blue, but it's definitely more green. And it could just be the photo, you know, the colors aren't always true, but I like the fact that it's green because it's supposed to be the lawn and all the flowers growing out of the lawn, so I'm fine with it. I haven't started. I started on the top part. Put this over here, and here is my progress so far. Really, really fun. Love the detail in those flowers. There is a lot of little confetti stitching here and there, but I'm going to, so trying to do this without a shadow. Luckily this fabric is dark enough that I can carry over with the confetti stitches and I don't have to do them all individually. Now I am going to show you another thing about the pattern. As you can see here, these flowers are quite different. And I didn't notice it until after I'd worked on it for an evening. And I thought, oh boy, did I totally misread the chart? Well, I went back and I didn't. So I don't know if, you know, some design changes were made after the photo was done. And it's pretty both ways. I do like the additional color that is actually in the stitched flowers. So I'm really enjoying working on that one. It's going to take me a while, but it's a lot of fun. So she gives you 2 different options for how you finish this. The way that Liz did it, she actually laced and framed each piece onto a piece of foam core board, and then she butted them together and then framed it. I don't know. I mean, to me, that sounds more complicated to try to get them to fit together flush. I don't know. The other option she gives you, and I think this is the one I'm going to try, is hand stitching in a straight stitch right across here, making very sure that you stay in one line on your fabric and just kind of splicing them together that way. I'm also going to take a couple little scraps and just do it on the machine real quick and see if I can get a nice clean splice. That might be the easiest way. We'll see. I'm a long way from having to worry about that step, but a super fun piece, really fun. My next little start is actually from Shepherd's Bush. This wasn't something I purchased. I've had it in my stash for quite a while. And this is the Spring Trifles series. 3 little pillows from the Spring Trifles series. That's a bit of a mouthful. And I started with this one, which is called Buzz into Spring. Look at these threads. If that doesn't scream spring, I don't know what does. Look how pretty they are. See if I can show that purple that's in there. And so Shepherd's Bush, these delicate colors and these combinations. And it came with this little set of buttons. Tiny, tiny, tiny little buttons. There's a tiny little bunny and some tiny little flowers. I'm gonna have to dig out a beading needle. The holes in here are eeny beeny. But really enjoying working on that. I should have mentioned on the springtime snippets, the ones that are the 2 colors. I don't know if I'll get all 3 of them done this year. We'll see once I get the first one done, taking into account the other things in my second quarter stitching. We'll see if I go on and do 1 or 2 of the others. Same thing with these. I want to finish this one. And honestly, this was one night of work. They're going to be pretty quick. They're small. They're lovely. I am doing this on a piece of 32 count linen that I got from Lindy Stitches in the color Blue Whisper. This is not a hand-dyed fabric. It looks like it is, but it's one of those ones. Are they stamped? Is that what they call them? The variation's only on one side, but it's such a pretty color of blue, and I love the little variation that's in there. Really lovely. I mean, there's just something about fall stitching is absolutely my favorite, followed probably by holiday and Christmas, but I do love spring stitching. There's just something about it that's kind of exciting and refreshing. So that was fun to start. My next start, last time I had showed, I got several of the project bags. Sorry, I forgot to get the pattern out here. That you stitch on. I had started one of these at the Jingle Ball with a Primrose Cottage pattern. And so I had gotten several of these, and this is the Feeling Sheepish one, again by Kim Deal, on these plastic mesh, whoops, sorry, that's my color guide falling out of there, on these plastic mesh bags. So I really wanted to give one of these a start. And because in my mind, I was thinking they're not gonna take very long. No, there's a lot of stitching here. And it is fun. I love the rich colors. Pardon my loose thread. I do have a needle minder on this one because it goes with the set. And it's not the easiest stitching, but it's not terrible. You have to get used to the idea of stitching them upside down because obviously you put your hand in from the bottom and you sort of have to scrunch the bag up to get to where you are. I have a feeling that when I get down to the bottom of the bag or farther over in here, it's going to get a little more hunchy bunchy, but it's not bad. I think the question that I had, and I know a couple of other people have brought up, is that they're a little worried about whatever it is you're putting in and taking out of the bag snagging on the stitching on the inside. So there were a number of people that were working on these, either this size or the smaller size bag at the retreat. So I asked a couple of them about it, and one woman said she'd never had any problems, partly because obviously you're not doing any big carryover stitches because, you know, you'd see everything through the mesh. I don't think it would be a bad idea, and this is what I plan to do, is where I can see the ends, or if I had to start in a place where there's only a couple little stitches for me to anchor my stitch under, I think when I'm done, I am going to take a little bit of Aleene's tacky glue because it dries clear and just put a little dab right on those ends and smooth it down to just give a little bit of extra security on that. So if you have made one of these bags and either you've had some challenges with the stitching or you haven't had challenges with the stitching, if you put it in the comments, that would be great. And then if anything comes out of that, I'll share it in my next video. But I always need more project bags, so it was fun to get that one started. And then my last one that I have started for my second quarter stitching is the next pattern in the Every Season series from Teresa Kogut. And this is A Time to Sew. This is the spring one. And I think I have buried it because it's on the same linen. What did I do with it? Here it is. Same linen that I have A Time to Reap on. And here is, sorry, here's my enormous piece of fabric again. Excuse me. Here is my progress so far. So normally I start in the upper left, but on this one I did want to start at the bottom. I just wanted to have that anchor of those little plants running across the bottom so I knew exactly how much room it was going to take. Again, a lot of stitching on this one, but I have loved it. It really is fun. Such a wonderful series. It's really been fun. So I'm really looking forward to going on to that with that one. So that is the last bunch. That's all of my new starts and all of my whips at the moment. So I'm going to show you now the other patterns that I have pulled as potential starts for the second quarter. There aren't a lot of them. I am not looking to have 400 whips by the end of the year, so I was trying to keep a reasonable number. The first couple are St. Patrick's Day stitching. And I know, even though this quarter wasn't starting till the 1st of April and St. Patrick's Day was past at that point, I know my thinking was that, oh, I can sew it now and have it all done, and then I can have it out for display next year. Well, I don't know if I'm feeling that anymore, but I'm not putting them away yet, because maybe I will decide I do want to stitch him. First one, I know a lot of you have stitched this. He's so cute. This is Lucky O'Green from Not Forgotten Farm. And, you know, it's a quick stitch. I could do it quickly. I'm not necessarily feeling it right now, but I'm not saying I won't get to it. I might. And then the other St. Patrick's Day one is also from Shepherd's Bush. Again, this is the Trifle series. These have been out for a while. I thought these had a year on them, 2016. So yeah, they've been around for a while. So this has been in my stash for a while, and they're so cute. They really are. And again, they would not be, they're a quick stitch, so I might get to them. I might not, we'll see. I did get some lovely little lavender fabric and some green fabric in that same order from Lindy Stitches that I got the blue. So I do have some fabric when I'm ready to do it. One thing I was going to mention is that the called for on the spring trifle, the Buzz into Spring that I showed you, was 30 count. I didn't have 30 count, I had 32 count, and they specify doing 1/2, which on 32 count, and especially on 30 count, I would normally do 2/2 for coverage. But I thought, okay, I'm gonna give it a try. And it was fine. I was very happy with my coverage, and it's very much that Shepherd's Bush, that really delicate little feel that all their patterns have. I think the 1/2 is fine. The next possibility in my second quarter stitching is from Scattered Seed Samplers, and this is the Harvest Hares Pin Keep. I love this with the bigger bunny carrying all the carrots and the little bunnies trailing behind. Love that primitive feel of this. It's, again, not a big project. It's 116 by 70, and this is done on 32 count. I'll probably do it on 36. Maybe 40, but I would definitely do it on 36. So that's one. The next one, this is another great spring one from Erica Michaels. This is Tiptoe Through the Tulips. I would like to make a little strawberry. I don't have a little strawberry. And I would love to make this little felt rose that goes on top. It doesn't include the felt, but I think it does include the instructions for making the rose. I might be wrong about that. It did include these little buttons, all these cute little flowers. I hope you can see this. The light's it got kind of dark outside, and the light got a little weird in here. But yeah, so that's cute. And then the last one that I have is Manny Dudana. It's another one of the little seasonal salt boxes. I had one of these in my first quarter stitching, the winter house that I didn't get around to. I think I will change the color of this house a little bit. That pink is a little washed out, but I think one of the things that really attracts me to these, and it's kind of cut off in this photo, is that they all have little quilts, either on the fence or on the clothesline or something. And since I am a quilter, I think that's what attracted me to these. So that's all my remaining possibilities. We'll see if I put on a giant burst of speed and I get all these done, then maybe I'll move on to something else. But right now, that's what I'm sticking to for my second quarter. Sorry. So next up is what popped up on my decision wheel for April. And well, let me just show you what it was before I talk about it. So it was hands-on design, the block party. Block party is all these pin cushions, and this is wool with the sheep and the little balls of yarn. So when this popped up, I wasn't very excited, which is so stupid because I'm the one that put all those projects on that wheel. I should be excited about all of them, and really I am. It's just that I was so in love with the Fragments in Time and the hummingbirds that I did before that, and Christmas at Hawk Run Hollow, which was January. I wasn't quite as excited as this one. And I'm sorry to say that my excitement levels and my enjoyment levels definitely did not increase when I started working on it. It's this fabric. So let me show you what I've done. This is how far I got. This is the top, obviously. Well, it's two things. One is the fabric. One is that the counting is off. you make a 58, I was going to say a 58-inch square. That's not what I mean. A 58 stitch square on all of these. And then you make another one. I haven't done it yet, but you'd make another 58 stitch square, which is just the outline that you don't fill in. And that's the bottom of the pincushion. And then you have the other design, which is the long strip that goes around the outside. I could not get this right, and it's still not right. It's 58 inches. These are the right width. They're the right distance apart. They're the right distance from the border. I began to feel like I was losing my mind. And I wasted so much time counting and recounting to the point that I thought maybe it's written in the instructions, make a 58 stitch square. And then I thought, okay, well, maybe that's a mistake. Maybe in the actual pattern it's 56 inches. No, it's 58 stitches. I don't know what the problem was. In the meantime, I have realized that this is the same fabric that I mentioned last video that I had used on Queen of the Needle, and I said how much I hated it. This is 28 count Country French Rain by Witchelt. I will not be using Witchelt for anything ever again. I have quite a few of these block party things because I'm making them very, very slowly for friends, for presents. And I don't think I have too many more of them kitted up, and I will probably use it if I already have them kitted up, and I'll continue to work on this, but this is just awful fabric. It is so thin, it's so baggy, it's so saggy. I don't mean to be insulting anybody. I'm just saying for me, I absolutely hate working on it. And you can see, because it is so loose, that my nerd hoop has just destroyed the fabric, just from tightening the hoop on it. I mean, it has absolutely destroyed it, pulled it all out of shape. It's not going to matter because you cut this off here, and then this is the part that goes down inside, and then you secure them all together. But between the combination of the fabric and the counting issues, which it's still off, and it's going to be off. This is not going to line up down here. I just had to put it away. I almost UFO'd it, but I just had to put it away. I did put in 4 nights on it, trying to figure it out. I do want to show you, because I have made other ones, to kind of explain what I'm talking about. So this is that middle diamond that you make, and then you have these wool pieces. So for one thing, when I was absolutely stressing out about the fact that this is off, this is going to be off, it's largely covered by the wool, and which you blanket stitch down, and you can actually, cut this a little smaller or a little larger. It's just a way to anchor the wool. So that's going to cover a lot of it. And I'm also giving them to friends who like me. Hopefully will still like me after I give them a massively messed up pincushion. It's not going to be messed up. But I just said, take a breath. It's not a heirloom sampler that I'm entering into a competition, but it also was not fun. So that's why I just put it away. Here's the rest of the little meow one, just to kind of show you how they work. So, you fold the edges down on this and on here, and then you just run a running stitch around the edge, and that kind of secures it all together. I know that's hard to see. And then I've also done the Java one. And this one, I won't show you the whole thing, but this one you can just barely see it, but there's the little outline of the bottom. This was hard on this color fabric. Sewing on dark fabric is a challenge, even on 28 count. But again, Witchelt, no. That is a hard no for me from now on. It's supposed to be fun, right? Why torture yourself? So I guess Friday is May 1st, so I'll be able to spin the wheel again, and I'm very excited to see what pops up for May. I am going to go rogue a little bit. I am in the mood to start something big. Not that I don't already have some big things that are whips, but I'm just in the mood to start something big, whether it's a sampler, whether it's a Hawk Run Hollow, whatever it might be. One of my stockings. And there are a number of big projects on the wheel. So I'm hoping one of those pops up. Now, whatever pops up, I'm going to work on it because that's what I'm going to do. But I'm thinking if it's not one of the big projects, I might just pull something out of my stash and start that. I thought about going through my stash before today and pulling out some potential thoughts or some potential starts. And I thought, no, I'm not going to do that because I don't want to be disappointed, if I get all excited about something new and then a big one that's already on the wheel pops up. So I'm not going to do that. I'll only do it in case something big doesn't pop up. So stay tuned. We'll see what happens with that. So I just have a couple little items from the April dough bowl. I didn't bring the whole dough bowl in because it still has all the spring stuff in it that I showed you last time, but I just showed you, or I just brought the things that switched out for April. First is my monthly pillow from Pine Mountain Designs. So cute with the little chicks and all the Easter eggs and the eggs in the tree. As I've said before, these are kits. They come, you get everything. There's a little bit of Aida for your stitching. They have the threads. There's a pillow form in here. And then this is just a pre-stitched little pillow cover that you tuck the pillow and your stitching in and boom, done. Fully finished object, just like that. So that's April. And they're such darling little designs. And then the other one that's new, or was new for April, is from the 12 monthly minis from Primrose Cottage. This is the April one. Beautiful, beautiful little lavender flowers. So pretty. I finished it with a little mini chenille from Lady Creates. The color of this chenille is shroom juice, as in mushroom, shroom juice. I think that's so perfect. And just a little purple scrap that I found in my stash. So on the brag table at Stitch West, somebody had made all of these, and she'd made them into little tiny biscornus. I don't know why I didn't take a photograph, but they were adorable. And I did actually get the chance to talk to her the last day, and she was kind of explaining how she did them. Now, I've never made a biscornu before, and so she was explaining it, and I was standing there going, oh, yes, oh, mm-hmm. Like I knew what I was talking about, which I absolutely do not. But it was so impressive, and they were so cute. So people's creativity is just astonishing. So that's the dough bowl. So now I'm going to show you my haul. And I'm going to start with the things that were given to us at the retreat by the ladies that hosted it. Oh gosh, I am going to, you know what, I'll put it down below. I'm drawing a total blank on the name, the organization that sponsored this. Oh, that's so bad. Oh, I'm sorry. I'll put it in the description box. Oh, what a loser. Anyway, this was the thing they greeted us with, is this wonderful metal, very heavy, very sturdy pattern stand. I just stuck all my needle minders on here so I'd have I'd know where they were at the end of the video, but really nice. Has these little adjustable arms. So that was our little welcome gift. And then our parting gift was this little set of scissors. Aren't they pretty? The little fob. And the little case has a magnet on the back, so you can stick it to your pattern stand and they won't get lost. Wonderful for retreats or, if you're going to sew at somebody's house. Really, really smart. I'm going to stick with the haul that I got from Stitch West first. These are from Color and Cotton, and there was a lady there, what was her name? Amy Kirkman from Bailey Murphy Stitches. She was just handing these out. So Megan from our table just happened to be where she was, and she got these for both of us. Megan thought maybe they were a dyeing error from Color and Cotton because it's called a happy little accident. I don't know if that's actually the case, but they're lovely, lovely little spring shades. Little aqua, little yellow with a nice variation. So that was a fun little freebie. This is the fabric that I bought from Megan from Lap and Loops. This is Tombstone. Look at the variation in this fabric. Isn't that beautiful? I love a good gray. I do love a good gray fabric, and I just love the variation in this. Really pleased with that. I am sorry to say that I also bought a piece of her small potatoes fabric, which is just wonderful. I cannot immediately lay my hands on it, and that makes me sad. I'm hoping I didn't leave it there. I was starting to feel not so great the last day, and I don't know how clearly I was thinking. So anyway, go look at her fabric. You are missing out if you have not seen it. So the next thing, this is the exclusive pattern that was released by Summer House Stitchworks for the retreat. This is Daisy Hill, and you can see all the little golden retrievers in here. she was telling the story about how several family members, they've all had golden retrievers come into their lives lately. And it does include all the fibers. There's a little ring in here to put all your threads on. I guess I could actually show those to you. There's an oval in here because it's an oval finish. And then there is another little pattern, another little free pattern. Oh, and there's a little waxer that she made, a little flower waxer. So I'm gonna have fun with this. We have never had golden retrievers, but over about 30 years, we had 7 Labrador retrievers, either Labradors or lab adjacent, as my veterinarian used to refer to some of them. We got the first one as a puppy way back before we had children. And then over the next, however many years, we got 6 other older gentlemen that we adopted from various rescue organizations. And those dogs we loved those dogs. They were wonderful, every single one of them. Sometimes we had 1, at one point we had 3 at a time. We lost our last old guy 4 years ago. Oh my gosh, sorry. Still miss that dog terribly. I'm making an idiot out of myself right now. Anyway, they were wonderful additions to our family. If you have ever thought about adopting an older dog, do it. So totally worth it. I don't think we'll be getting another dog because of the transition of going back and forth between Florida and Colorado. It's just hard. It takes a special dog to be able to drive all that way. It is a very long drive. But they brought so much to our lives. So we had 2 black ones and 5 yellow ones. So I'm going to change the color of these little doggies to kind of reflect the menagerie that lived in our house. Sorry. I didn't know this was going to be so emotional today. So the next things are the things that I bought at Shepherd's Bush. The first one is this little key fob, the Harmony key fob. I think I'm having a moment with sheep. So cute. They have sheep in so many things, and they're just so sweet, and the lovely little flowers. And this is what I was saying, they kit up everything. Here's the ribbon, here's the floss, here's the linen, here's these little buttons. I was thinking, I don't stitch on planes very often. I just find, it's hard to see. I do stitch with a pair of readers over my bifocals. That is my preferred method. And, that'll attract some attention. Not that I care, but I mean, when my husband's with me, I'm kind of like, hi, here's the crazy woman in the seat next to you. But anyway, it's not my preferred thing, but I was stitching a little bit. The weekend before Stitch West, we went to a wedding in Chicago, and I was stitching a little bit on the plane. And I had, of course, these little tiny scissors that you need to have on the plane just by themselves. And I thought, if these fall off the tray or I drop them, they're going to be gone. So I thought I really do need to make a little fob for them. So now I have those metallic scissors, which is great. So I'll probably take those, but I thought this would make a darling little fob. So that was my first thing from Shepherd's Bush. The next thing I got was Where We Dwell. They're one of their patriotic patterns. As I've mentioned before, patriotic and summer stitching is not my favorite. After living in Florida for 30 years, I kind of tend to pretend it's not summer and hope for when it won't be summer because it's summer forever and it's ferocious. So, but because it's a sesquicentennial, I feel like maybe I should sew 1 or 2 little things. Thought this was so sweet. More sheep. And again, here's everything. Threads, linen, chenille, you name it, all in here. There's even a little bit of backing fabric. I mean, it's the whole thing. It couldn't be simpler. So I really don't have an excuse not to sew it. I just happened to see this hanging on the wall by the finished stitch of this. I've wanted this forever. This is a Shepherd's Song by Plum Street. I know there's, again, more sheep. This is what I'm saying. I'm having a sheep moment. There's a conversion out there that I think I have seen on Jordan Tattooed Stitchers. I think she's the one, which is, you will not be shocked to learn, blue, much more blue. It may be a Vicki Clayton silk conversion. I'm not sure. I'd have to go back and see if I can find it in her feed. But I do want to do, if not that conversion, something simpler and change it more to blue. But it's such a lovely, lovely sampler. So because it was right there, it leaped off the shelf into my hand and came home with me. I bought a darling little needle minder, this hedgehog in love with the pincushion. I couldn't resist. I have used up all my needle minders. I have so many projects going. I mean, madness. Who even am I? So this is all very new for me. And then the last thing I got, there was a freebie table at the retreat, and Jane, one of the women at my table, she was like the freebie wizard, because I went and looked, and again, partly because I'm trying not to acquire things, I didn't really see anything I needed to have. She must have gone to the table 5 or 6 times throughout the retreat, and every time she would come back with fabulous things. But she was generous enough. I think this came from Kathy, that she'd been over there, but there were a number of these bags on the table. So I got another one. I didn't have a blue one. And when I was at Shepherd's Bush, they had a pattern for the blue bag that is, this is a Shepherd's Bush design, and it's a quilt bag. And since I am a quilter, I thought, you know what, I need to get one of those for my quilting. And so yeah, so that'll be fun. So that's all my haul from Shepherd's Bush. I know this is getting so long. I warned you. I'm almost done, I promise. Last time, in my last video when I was showing my haul, I mentioned that with the market purchase that I had gotten from Colorado Cross Stitcher, she put in 3 free patterns, and I couldn't find one of them. I found it. This is a free pattern that came out from Plum Street. It's for the sesquicentennial, and isn't this fun on the birthday cake? George Washington or Paul Revere or whoever you want to call it on top of the cake, and it says huzzah at the bottom. I love that. I think this is what the actual colors are, the called for colors. So I might do that for a little patriotic stitch. It would make a darling little pillow. I was buying some linen. I don't know why. I don't think it was for something specific, but I saw this. What did I get from Dames of the Needle? I don't know what I was doing, but anyway, I got this. This is a piece of cow fodder from Dames of the Needle. This is 36 count. I just love this warm sort of oatmeal color. There's just something about it that really, really appealed to me. And it has a little bit of variation in it, but not a lot. I just don't have anything. I don't have anything that's kind of darker like this. So I decided that I would snap that up. My linen stash is getting pretty much to the point where I don't need to add to it. I was trying to build it up for a while, but I'm getting close. I also got, because I forget things, I had ordered a piece of Thornfield from Needle and Flax, 40 count Thornfield, because I've heard so many people say that this is their favorite linen, and I didn't have any and I wanted to try it out. So I got a really big piece. I got a full yard, which was quite the indulgence. Isn't it pretty? So beautiful, and it's such a nice, heavy, without being stiff linen. It has a great feel. I got this directly from Needle and Flax, and of course, because it's hand dyed, it takes a while. I forgot I ordered it, and so I had to get a couple of some threads from 123 Stitch, and I didn't want them to travel alone, and they actually had Thornfield in stock, so I got this piece of 40 count. This is also 40 count. From 123 Stitch, and of course this came quite quickly, and then about a week later the full yard showed up. So my Thornfield needs are definitely covered for the next 3 centuries. And then I did get one pattern. My rule of thumb right now, since I'm not buying patterns, is something. If I see something I really love, how would I feel if it went out of print? And when I decide I am ready to buy it, and I either had to pay a fabulous amount for it, ridiculous amount for it, or I just couldn't get it at all. So that's kind of been my benchmark about whether I am going to go ahead and buy something. So this definitely qualifies. This is GH 1857. You can't see too much of the sampler here, but you know why my eye went right here, because of all the blue, and I actually would probably add more blue and have less brown. I know there's a sew-along going on for this right now. I will not be trying to join that. I won't even be starting this, but I just didn't want it to get away. And I love, look at all these beautiful little things. There's a scissors, there's a needle roll, there's a little, what are they called? Mattress finish pillowcase, pin cushion, not pillowcase. Hello. I was trying to see if there was a full picture of the sampler in here. Yes. Okay, show this. Beautiful sampler. beautiful, beautiful sampler. So at some point I will start this and work on it. But even though I am not buying patterns, I am of course keeping a list of things that when and if I do lift my moratorium, I will buy. I will say it is long. Right now it is already probably longer than my left leg, and I'm fairly tall, so that's a pretty considerable list. I did go back through and look at it a couple, like last week, just for fun to see what was on there, and I already eliminated some things. I was like, yeah, you know what, I like that, but I don't really need to stitch that, so I'm trying to keep that pared down. Yeah, good luck with that. But I am keeping a list, so when it is time for me to be able to buy things again, I've got some stuff in mind. So, quilts. I did finish the Peter Rabbit quilt that I showed last time, and I'm going to put a picture of that in here. This is a Riley Blake design that it's Riley Blake fabric. It's a free pattern on the Riley Blake website, and I did give it to the expectant mom at a baby shower. She was very pleased. I also gave her a book that was the full, all of the Beatrix Potter stories, which I loved when I was a little kid, and they're all in one book. So hopefully she will enjoy reading that to her little one wrapped up in that quilt. And then I also finished another quilt, which I will put a picture of in here. And this is the Wind Drifter quilt by Robin Pickens, who of course many of you also know as a cross-stitch designer. She's also a quilting designer. I finished this last fall, and my dear friend Caroline long-armed it for me. I am very proud of this quilt. I'm really happy with the way it turned out, but I'm especially proud of it because it is all from my stash. I am also trying to use what I have in my quilt stash, both in terms of fabric and patterns. So every bit of that quilt is from my stash. The background, all the blues and yellows, the backing fabric, all from my stash. So, and I am going to hang that in my living room, and when I get that done, I'm in the process of sewing a sleeve on the back, and when I get that done, I'll post a picture of it hung up on the wall. So, my plans, my second quarter stitching will continue through June. I won't be starting any of those other projects until I get at least one, even two of the ones that I currently have going started, so I don't have all those whips going. We will be heading to Colorado in May, and so the next time I film, I'll be in Colorado. As soon as we get there, we were turning immediately around and going to a family wedding in Michigan. And we've also had some renovations done out there while we've been gone. So we have quite a bit of work to do to get the house back together once we get there. So I don't know how much stitching I'm going to get done. I know I will get some done. It's a long drive, and I wish that I could stitch more in the car. I will probably do a little. Again, I find it hard to see and get the right setup. And also my lovely husband, and he is a lovely husband, but his attention to road signs is not his strong suit. And if I do not want to drive from Florida to Colorado by way of Canada, I have to pay attention, so we stay on track. But on some of the longer stretches, hopefully I'll be able to pull something out and stitch on it. I'm hoping I can get on the Spring Fling, the pink one, get to the outline of the bunny, because it's quite a lot of fill just with the white for the bunny, and get to that so I can just do fill in on the white while we're driving, and I think I should be able to do that. So anyway, I will see you again in late May. Thanks for hanging in there. If you would like and subscribe. I was going to mention at Stitch West on the last day, they asked for all the floss tubers to come up so they could take a photo, and I went up. I mean, I've done 2 floss tubes. I definitely had imposter syndrome standing up there. I think it was because Jordan, the tattooed stitcher, was there and everybody wanted to get a picture of Jordan. Anyway, if I were better at self-promotion, I probably would have gone around to people and said, "Hi, I'm Edie. I have acts of stitching." Blah, blah. I didn't, and I don't, and I'm not good at that. So it really does, it does help me out if you will do my job for me and hit the subscribe button. I know it's a pain if you watch it on TV, but if you can take a second to, open it up on your phone and hit the subscribe button and give me a thumbs up, that would be great. It helps push it to more people. And, I've been very gratified by the response so far. So I appreciate you doing that. I'm trying to be better about doing it for other people, so I'd appreciate it if you do it. So anyway, I will see you again in late May. In the meantime, have a wonderful time stitching all the things. Be well, and I will see you in a few weeks. Bye.